I'm a person who loves getting uncomfortable.
So Joe is the host of the Get Uncomfy Podcast. Joe talks a lot about mental health in general, about getting uncomfortable with life, with decisions, with everything.
Being a man is being real, being just you and not adhering to what society wants you to be. When my dad left, I was around 17, and the first thing my grandma told me was, be a man, be the man of the house. And I was like, what does that title hold? Men don't have the capability to say, you hurt me. Women do, which is why they resolve problems differently. We resolve them by shoving them under the rug and being like, yeah, we're cool, habibi, khalas, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So is being a man actually just bottling up everything and moving forward regardless?
Hey everyone, so welcome to the episode of the podcast Koon Rijjeil. So today we have a guest who came all the way from Austria, was it?
Yeah.
Austria. So Joe is the host of the Get Uncomfy Podcast. Honestly, we came across each other by coincidence, I think.
I think so,
or
yeah.
maybe just the algorithms worked in our favor. So Joe talks a lot about mental health in general, about getting uncomfortable with life, with decisions, with everything, right? So Joe, welcome to Koon Rijjeil.
Glad to be here.
Man, it's surreal to think that we're finally
like
doing
a couple
it.
of months ago we were talking about doing it virtually.
Yeah.
And like now sitting across it, that's better. I'm
Much
grateful we didn't do the virtual.
Yeah, I know. I mean, because I can see you, I can see like who you are as a person. So to me, that's more important than doing online. But the content is as relevant, right? So
That's true. That's
right.
true.
So Joe, before we start, I want to ask you: is there anything we need to know about Joe? Who is Joe?
That's a very good question. How would I describe myself? Well, I'm a person who loves getting uncomfortable. I'm a person who is extremely ambitious in trying to help people live the best lives they want to live, because I've had my own struggles and I overcame each one of them, and I realize a lot of people are stuck because they're intimidated by themselves. I'm a family guy. I love my family. They're always my number one. My friends group is my family as well. Extremely social when it comes to that. Yeah, I'm a son, first and foremost, in my opinion, to my mom, amazing human being, and to my dad, obviously, but like less so. A brother, second, and I'd like to consider myself at times a good friend. Like that, those are the first things that would pop into my head when you ask me who I am. I'd be like, I'm a son, a brother, and a good friend. Oh, and now I'm a boyfriend as well. I wasn't that a couple months ago.
Cool, congratulations.
So, yeah. Thank you.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah, life happens when you're busy making other plans.
Yeah, that's true.
I was planning on leaving the country, leaving everything behind, getting uncomfortable, becoming a digital nomad, and then I met her. It's like
and then everything added up.
But I still went.
Okay.
Okay. She pushed me to do that because for a while I contemplated, should I leave, should I not? And she was like, if you don't leave, I'll kill you. I was like, okay, fine.
Well, it's good you have someone who's pushing you to do what you want to do, right? So it's very interesting that you mentioned those three things, right? So you're a son, you're a brother, and you're also a boyfriend, right?
Right.
So within that context, what does it mean for you, Koon Rijjeil?
To me, or how I was brought up? Those are two different things. To me, being a man is being aware of your responsibilities, doing your best to fulfill your role in each position, being real, being authentic, being vulnerable, because I was trained to not be vulnerable, caring, hanoun, as we say, and just know that I mean, it's kind of my job to make sure that everything's okay with me, and like I'm totally responsible for my life. All my decisions are mine. All my wins and losses are mine, and I need to own them. And I need to make sure that I provide safety for the people who need it in my circle. But yeah, in my opinion, being a man is being real, being just you and actually not adhering to what society wants you to be. And I had my struggles with this, as I think you might have as well.
Yeah.
because when I was growing up, when my dad left, I was around 17. And the first thing my grandma told me was, be a man, be the man of the house. And I was like, what does that title hold? And she was like, well, take care of your mom, take care of your brother. My brother is 10 years younger than me, so he was 7 at the time. And he was a dad's kid, so it was very tough. And she was like, yeah, make sure you go study at university and become a man. I was like, okay, so for you, becoming a man is having a degree and just taking care of everyone around you. And this is basically it got imprinted into my head for a very long time. And I struggled a lot with the idea of needing to do the things they wanted me to do rather than the things I felt like I needed to do. And when he left, suddenly, like, I'm 17, I'm still in this phase, especially in Europe, when you're like around this age, you do a lot of stupid shit. Oh, can we say shit?
Yeah.
Good. You do a lot of stupid shit. You're just triggering stuff out. I'm almost graduating high school a couple of months before that. And at the same time, my first girlfriend left me as well. So I was like, okay, what is being a man? So I started bottling everything up and I started making sure that everything's okay on the outside, but inside I was absolutely shattered. And it took me years to get out of that. And my dad left 2016, 2018. I had the first encounter with a mental health issue, not on my own because I had my own already, but where it went to the extreme, where it went to suicide. From a very, very dear friend of mine. He was 27. He was, like, in my opinion, one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life. But when he decided to end his life, I was like, okay, fuck, wait a minute. I need to think about what I'm doing and who I am and what led me to be here today. And it was Koon Rijjeil. I swear to God, like, this is why I'm so excited to be on this podcast, because those two words, Koon Rijjeil, are the words that in some way made me who I am today, but in the other way made me go through all the pain, or like most of the pain that I went through, because I saw him as well. He was always trying to be a man on the outside until he couldn't anymore and he ended his life. And if you look at the statistic, men are 5 times more likely to commit suicide than women because of Koon Rijjeil, right? Don't cry. You don't feel pain. Like, whenever I was in pain, Koon Rijjeil, man up. And the thing is, it's not only our society, it's worldwide. Because I'm working in coaching in Europe, and men have an immense struggle admitting that they're in pain.
Even in Europe?
Help. Even in Europe.
Wow.
Everywhere. Okay. Everywhere. So yeah, I think I went on a rant.
No, but it's a very good rant, because it also gives me an idea of as well of who is Joe, right?
Yeah.
Because that's why I said in the beginning, to see, okay, what are your like criteria, and then okay, who actually is this person? And it's interesting you say that that you went through your own struggles, but also had to witness it on the outside, right? And I do wonder as well, like, how did you sort of, like, what was that moment where you said, okay, Koon Rijjeil, like even so when your father left at a younger age, and then your grandma tells you Koon Rijjeil, and then when your friend unfortunately commits suicide, you go like, okay, now it's time to step up. Now it's time to be the leader of men, if you want, the leader of the pack, the leader of the tribe. How did that feel like at those times? Because obviously you're different ages, right?
Yeah, when my dad left, it wasn't such a big difference in that sense, because my dad was not really around while I was growing up. He was always working.
Okay.
So I needed to learn a couple of things for myself, and I barely had any role models. So I spent my life trying to find men who I can consider a role model, so I can step into their shoes, or like let them help me or guide me through the way. And it made me fall into maybe not the ideal role models. It made me shift my mindset many, many times. So for me, when I needed to step up the first time is when we left Syria because of the war, and we went to Austria. I was 14. And I was like, okay, I have a 4-year-old brother. My parents need to work day and night to make sure that we can stay in Europe, be safe, have food, because Europe's tough, man. Nothing's given, like everything's earned. So yeah, that was the first time I needed to step up. I needed to learn a new language. I needed to learn German, which, how do you learn German?
Yeah. Especially coming from an Arab country where,
I mean, I spoke English, French, because we learned that in
Yeah.
school, but German was so far off.
Mm.
And I needed to step up and make sure that I can finish school as fast as possible, because that was the expectation. Step up, do your thing, be a man. Yes, you're in pain, we get it, but power through, which is what everyone told me, because I used to, like, for the first year, I cried, I think, on a daily, because I missed my people, I missed home. I didn't know what home is anymore. So it was like, okay, man up, Joe, keep going. And I actually did, and I finished school pretty quickly. Like, I did not need to repeat any classes or anything. They just got me through. Finished school, went into university. I was just in this be a man mode, you know? And then my father left, and I was like, okay, now be a man times 2. And I was in severe pain that year, actually, 2016, because my first relationship ended abruptly and my dad left within 2 weeks. So for me, it was like, okay, abandonment issues, welcome to my life. But be a man. No crying, no time to dwell. I need to finish high school. I need to get into university. I need to keep going. So this was the second big time when I was like, okay, Koon Rijjeil. And then when that suicide happened, because we worked together, we worked closely together. He was like a mentor for me. I was 20, he was 27. He took me into the company, actually, and I was a very shy kid. Like, I was not able to just have conversations with people. And he got me out of my shell because he saw something in me that I didn't see in me. And he kept asking me if I wanted to work at the gym, because it was a gym, for 6 months, every day. I went to this gym every day to train. And every day he was like, I want you to work with us. I was like, no, I'm working with my mom. I need to take care of the household and so on and so forth. He was like, I want you to work every day for 6 months. After 6 months, I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll work on weekends. I'll do an 8-hour shift. He was very happy about it, because what he knew, what I didn't, is he's going to get me to work full-time, overtime. Like, he knew exactly which buttons to press. And he taught me, out of his perspective, how to be a man. So I needed to man up there, because financially we weren't in a good place. Mom was working every day, the whole day. And I had 3 jobs at the time. So I was helping my mom with the restaurant. I was working at the gym. And I used to do promotion jobs where you go around and you give people vouchers, which is, for me, still the biggest challenge I've ever done in my life, to just go out there and try to get people to take vouchers and, like, talk to other human beings who are not interested. This was an incredible experience. But this was also a time where, always in my head, every time I felt weak or I felt like I'm about to break, I'm very sad, I'm very overwhelmed, I was like, be a man. Just go to the next person, be like, hey, you you know. So a lot of different moments made me think about be a man, which in my head at the time meant put your emotions aside, keep going. And my mom used to always tell me that's not what a man is, but for me, I wasn't listening to her. I was like, no, you have no idea. How should you know? You're a woman, right? So yeah, those are the biggest moments of where I felt like I needed to step up. And I kept going for years.
And it's interesting to hear all these, you know, different moments in your life, right, where you've had to overcome this idea of كون رجال على الطريقة إنه على الأصول. إنه شد حالك ما تبكي ما هيدا. I'm also interested to know, like, where did the shift happen? Because I mean, now you promote a slightly different life, right? Which is be vulnerable, be open. So I wanted, you know, to unpack that a little bit more.
Definitely the suicide, 2018. It was the day of my little brother's birthday as well. So it was extremely overwhelming. It was one of the scariest things I've went through, even though it has nothing to do with me. But on a selfish level, I felt a lot of questions that were not answered, because he didn't leave anything behind. So we don't know why, what happened or whatever. But I mean, you can imagine, you don't end your life just on a hunch. So I started analyzing how he was as a person after I mourned, and I started looking at, okay, what could have driven him to take a decision like this? Because, yani, how can you take such a decision at a young age what were the factors. And then I looked, and on the outside, it's easier to see things, right? Because when you're in it, you cannot actually see what's going on. So I looked at him from a very rational perspective, no emotions involved. It's like, okay, what was this dude doing? And I realized he was suppressing most of his emotions most of the times. Like, he had a lot of problems with his ex-girlfriend at the time. And he never talked. He never asked for help. He never asked someone to be there for him. He never. So I was like, okay, those are qualities that in my head makes you a man. But at the same time, look where it got him. So is being a man actually just bottling up everything and moving forward regardless? I was like, no, I don't think so. And that's when I started shifting, because I was working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Dead end. Like, I got to the highest position at the gym that I could have gotten. It was regional management for the country, but I was 20. Where do I go from here? Am I going to end up like him? Because he was so much under pressure with work as well. And he never asked anyone to be there for him. And for me, not being able to ask for help is actually the biggest weakness. And this is when I realized, and the first thing I told my best friends after he killed himself, the same day, I called them and I was like, you promise me now that when shit hits the fan, you pick up that phone and you call me and you make sure that we talk for hours, for days, for weeks if it has to be. But no one's doing anything without talking. So yeah, I think that's where the shift happened mostly.
No, it's crazy to think that, you know, to go through all these different things at various parts of your life, right, from childhood to maybe like more an adult age. It is quite tough, and I do respect the fact that, you know, you've taken what you know and what you've been taught and say, okay, hey, does this actually make sense? Maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Maybe actually being a man is not talking. It's not, you know, it's not to be quiet and bottle things up and overwork yourself until you hit the ground and then you have no one. So it's a thing that a lot of people go through in silence, man. Like, I go through it on a daily basis where there's times in my life where I don't want to speak. I just want to be in my own zone, do my thing, train, go home, sleep, repeat. But as you're saying, like, a lot of times I also think that, you know, part of being a man is to talk, is to be vulnerable, to show people that, yeah, actually I can be weak at times, and it's not aib to ask for help
At all.
you know. And
Does it get lonely though?
Oh,
Because you see,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and at the times where you're like,
yeah,
eat, sleep, train,
yeah,
repeat.
yeah. And there's a lot of days where I feel alone. A lot of days, especially living in Dubai, man. It's a big city, like big city. Everyone is like connected. Sometimes you feel like you're so unconnected from the world because you're just in your 9 to 6 job. You finish, you do your trainings, but in your mind, there's a million thoughts happening, questioning your purpose, questioning what you want to be doing in life, questioning, is this the right thing for me? Questioning, where do I want to be in 5 years? Am I living towards that goal, or am I just letting life happen?
Yeah.
Because there's people who tell you life will happen for you as long as you're doing the right things, as long as you're trusting the process. But بنفس الوقت, okay, that might be true, might be, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it's like you're telling someone, I don't know, I wanna get from point A to point B, but I don't know how to get from point A to point B, so I'm not gonna do it. I'll let life take me in that way. It might not work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been one of my struggles. There's places that I want to get to in life that I'm just not getting to yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the works, but it's just not there
Do you
now.
have someone to talk to?
Yes and no. There's people who I trust and people who not going to say don't trust, but I just avoid speaking to.
Okay. And the people you trust, do you reach out to them
Yeah.
when you
Regularly.
Okay.
One of them is two of my best friends. One of them is Fadi, another one's Sultan. These guys are honestly always there for me. Thankfully.
Names.
I need to drop the boys' names. Fadi is, Fadi's one of the guys, man, who, he to me, he's like an Arab David Goggins.
Okay.
He's like, anytime you need something, just give me a call. I'll be up. He's that incredible of a person. Sultan is like that as well, but Sultan is more a bit more realistic. He's a bit more, so Fahd is a bit more, over. But yeah, they're both great guys. So for me, it's important to have those people in your life. Sometimes you'd be surprised. Sometimes you'd be surprised that there's people who you'd want to talk to and want to get their advice. More often than not, you won't hear what you want to hear. And it ends up putting you in a position of, do I want to talk to them again? I don't know. You should, of course. I mean, logically you should. But at the same time, it's like every time I speak to you, you give me the opposite of what I want to hear. You know what I mean? It gets a bit tiring, you know, and especially as men, I think a lot of times we want to feel validated. I'll say that on myself. I want to feel validated sometimes in my life where you know what I'm thinking in the right direction.
Okay.
Like what I've thought of is not stupid.
Okay.
Because I felt a lot of times in my life where what I've thought of was like, ولو إنه كيف هيك بتفكر إنه مش منطق. Sometimes, once upon a time, you know what? Even the stupidest ideas are making sense. It's sort of to live this delusional life in a way that takes you somewhere, you know?
What happens when you don't get the validation though?
I re-question everything again from scratch.
Okay.
I go back into my own hole,
Okay.
to my own cave, rethink every decision, rethink why did I get there, how did I get there, and also why did I tell this person? You know? But yeah, it's one of those things, man, where like, you just need to know, I think there are things where you need to be really مقتنع, be what you want to do. And even if somebody tells you otherwise, you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's part of being a man. مش تكون عنيد. Hold on, there's a difference. مش تكون عنيد وبتعمل إنه, you know, it's like someone tells you there's fire, don't walk in the fire, you go and walk in the fire to see if you're going to, that's
لا تقلي شو
إنه لا بدي أجرب إنه لا, okay, there's things that are logical, there are things that there's a risk, but you try it out anyways, you know? So for me, it's just, taking on those risks whenever you can, making sure that, whatever it is that I feel and I know and I believe in makes sense to me at least. It adds up to my value. Because at the end of the day, when I come to you, Joe, and be like, Joe, man, listen, I'm having problems with 1, 2, 3, 4, أنت بتيجي تعطيني your advice, it's based off of your experience.
True.
It might not be based off of what I'm living and what I'm feeling every day.
True.
And that's actually one of the biggest things, by the way, that I felt about, you know, getting advice from people.
Okay, can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
Okay. We're not switching roles.
No, go ahead. I mean, even if you want to ask me questions, I don't mind.
Because when I ask you, is there anyone you talk to, you said 2 names, right?
Yeah.
Do you have women you talk to?
Yeah. My older sister.
Do you feel the difference between men and women?
Definitely.
What's the difference?
So my sister is a lot more rational, a lot more use your brain. The boys are more like, give it a go, try. That's what I feel. But then again, I think my sister's built differently. I think her mentality is very different. There's also like other like female friends of mine that I speak to as well, and like from my training groups to whatever, I just try to get their point of view on things. You know, some people I've just met randomly, but you know, you try to get their thoughts on things in general to see how they are, you know. But yeah, I think the women that I have speak to are much more rational. My therapist, I don't know actually. I mean, she's quite rational, to be fair, but also at the same time very
challenging.
Yeah. It's
they have to be.
Exactly. And it's about getting uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
It's about listening to these things. Even when I speak to my sister, like hearing these things that are maybe not always what you want to hear, but they're gonna push your thinking a bit further, which 100%. Is good.
I don't think I ever hear what I want to hear when I ask. Ever. Yeah. Honestly, like everything I've done so far, always when I talk to people, I did not get validation. It fucks with you.
It's funny because we had an episode before with Sina. Sina's like a guy that I train with, and he was saying like validation can be very toxic, can be very very toxic if you want, because essentially you're living your life sort of expecting people to be like, you did great today, good job, that was a good, which I think about for myself as well, like a lot of times, and there are moments in my life where I go like, I would like that validation, whether it's from my boss, whether it's from my friends, whether it's whoever. And the other days, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just, there's that moment where you feel like things are clicking into gear and you're just going.
Which days are more productive?
In what sense?
The days where you seek validation or the days where you don't care?
Don't care. Don't care, man. don't care until you get stuck on something and you have to ask again.
Yeah. And they're
It's
like,
like-
I told you so.
And you're like, okay,
قلت
here we
لك-
go.
قلت لك لا تعملها.
قلت لك ما تعملها ولو كيف هيك هذا. But it's interesting because I want to go back to an earlier point that you said. So in those moments, right, where you're somebody's being like, Joe, actually what you've just said or thought of or whatever it is, idea you have for your life doesn't make any sense. It's rethink that because it's not going to work. Does that put you in a cave? Because it goes back to, again, the idea we said earlier about being a man and to not be afraid to ask for help or to not to be afraid to ask for anything really. So does that sort of counter?
It used to.
Okay.
It used to. And the only person who actually makes me question everything is my mom.
Okay.
Like when I ask her something and she gives me the answer I don't want to hear, it makes me doubt myself. And I tried telling her that. Like sometimes I just need you to tap on the shoulder and be like, bravo عليك, كمل. But she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yes, I will tell you what I think, but know that I support all your decisions. If you want to go through with it, go. But I'm just giving you how I see it. And it makes me question a lot. And actually, Manar, my best friend as well, he's always against. Like anything I ask, he always challenges. Even if he believes in it, he'll go and challenge the fuck out of me. Which frustrates me. وبيقول لي دايما, and don't make me tell you I told you so. Like, please don't get us to the point where I tell you I told you so. And funny enough, like 90% of the times, he gets to the point where he's like, I told you so. And I'm like, I know, but I learned. And he's like, what did you learn? I'm like, a lot of things. He's like, no, like you didn't get to where you wanted to go. And I was like, yes, I got somewhere else. But at least I was moving, right? And we still have this discussion very regularly where he's like, you did so many things that I told you are stupid, more or less. ما قال لي إنه غبية الفكرة بس يعني. He was like, it's not going to work. He's a very rational thinker. In my opinion, he's a bit more like in the pessimistic area. And I'm like an extreme optimist. So the clash is always very funny because for me, while he's talking, I'm looking and I see why he's saying the things. But for me, it's like, okay, you're not going to validate my point. So I might as well just, take it with a pinch of salt. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then I jump into the water and I figure out how to swim somehow. And then he's like, well, did you get where you wanted to go? You told me you're going to set up this e-com shop and it's going to work and you're going to make money and whatever. Did it work? And I'm like, no, I closed the e-com shop. And he's like, I told you so. Yeah, I know. But I learned how to set up a shop. I learned how to design stuff. I learned what it needs for marketing. I learned what not to do.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So I learned a lot of things across the way. And for me, it's never about the objective learnings. It's more about what I develop in my character. Because I've tried so many things and I failed miserably at so many things so far. Literally, like, it's just sad if you look at it objectively. But for me, it's not. Every time something, I had the belief that something will do X and it did Y or Z or A, did everything except for X. I always came very quick to terms that, okay, this is not it. It's fine. But what did I get out of it in terms of character? What did it make me believe? What did it allow me to dream about? What did it change in my mindset? And seeking validation for me is also something I was stuck in for a very long time, like needing the validation sometimes to keep going. But now I realized when I get the validation, it adds pressure as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Because when they say, yes, it's a good idea, you're like, oh, fuck, what? If it doesn't work, it's like my fault or they're going to be disappointed. I always needed validation from my supervisors or my bosses because I felt like just like in school, I needed the teachers always to tell me I'm doing a good job. But that's because at home, I grew up with a lot of validation, right? Everything I did, Allah yarda alayk, bravo, blah, blah, blah. We're so proud of you. So it made me spiral into, okay, adulthood is not the same as childhood at home, right? And so when I stopped getting the validation at home as much, I started needing it from my friends, from my work, from my colleagues, from whoever. And I always got it, always. but it never was fulfilling. So I started questioning, and then I realized my validation was missing. I was trying to get everyone's, but not mine. And the path I took now, I became a digital nomad last month. I just decided to leave everything behind. Literally, I left home, I left my friends, I left my family, I left work, I left everything. And I was like, yep, I'm gonna be deregistered from my country. I'm not gonna have a home for a while. I'm just gonna build my character. A lot of people were like, what are you doing? I have no idea. Yeah, what's the plan? Where are you in 3 years? I don't know. I really don't. And it's scary as shit. يعني امبارح I was in a very bad state. In a very, very bad state. And over the last couple of weeks, I realized, and I'm very thankful that I'm here today, the be a man mindset came back. Especially because I have a girlfriend now. And I feel like I need to step up. Because before I was single, yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's fine. Now you have a partner. In a way, you're also responsible for an entity to work. Like, you're both equally responsible that this relationship works out. I'm a person who took a decision to leave home, to leave her, and go. Even though we've known each other for 2 months, right? But I know that this is a relationship I really want. But I still really want to figure out my path, where I'm going, what I'm gonna do. So I jumped. And it's freezing, man. The water is so cold, I cannot move. I'm still in this shock phase where I'm like, what did I do? And my brain was like, be a man, be a man, be a man, be a man, be a man. And yesterday I sat down and I journaled before going to the Ash concert. I sat down and I journaled and I was like, I wrote so many things that were on my mind. And I was like, how am I bottling this for so long? Why am I bottling this for so long? Is it because I'm afraid that my girlfriend will think I'm a pussy? Honestly. Like, I don't want to burden her with my things because I don't want to seem weak. But at the same time, when you bottle things up, you become distant from people subconsciously. And people feel it. And they always ask you, I don't know if you realize this, but when you're bottling your emotions and you're powering through like a man, people start asking you more often, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine. But you're not.
You're not, of course.
You're really not. And if you ask me today, how are you really doing? I'll tell you, I have no idea. I'm happy in my core because I'm very blessed and I'm very thankful for everything I have in my life and for being the person I am. But at the same time, I'm extremely sad. I'm hurt. But men have an issue with saying I'm hurt. I was listening to a podcast the other day and he's like, when two men fight, it's like, I'm pissed. I'm angry at you. But men don't have the capability to say, you hurt me. Women do. Which is why they resolve problems differently. We resolve them by shoving them under the rug and being like, yeah, we're cool, habibi, khalas, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Next time, don't do the shit, you know? But women are like, I got hurt. And for a while, I was like, guys, you get hurt so often, but we get hurt so often as well. But we take it as anger. So, Koon Rijjeil means don't know your emotions, right? Like, there is angry, happy, sad.
That's sort of your spectrum.
That's, those are the things you can go through. Pain is not an option. Like, when I fell or I broke something, or it was like, خليك رجال, لا تبكي. Whoa.
Power through it.
I'm like, yeah, but it hurts. It really hurts. And my reaction is right now, I need to say that I'm in pain. I need to cry or whatever. If someone hurts me, it's like, you're a man. Don't show that you're hurt. No, I'm hurt. Bro, I'm really hurt by 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want to talk about it? Let's work it out. But I just want you to know that I'm hurt. And trust, because you said you only trust a few people. There are a few people that you don't trust. Trust is not built by giving help or offering your help. Trust is actually built when you start asking people for help. That's when you can actually build trust with people, but it's about how you approach the people. I have so many people in my life that I trust. Alhamdulillah, I'm so blessed with this because I always had enough courage to go to a person that I just met, but I felt like we have a very good vibe. And I was like, listen, I want to talk to you about something. Can you help? And what I realize is when you approach people and ask them to be a help in your life, they automatically start opening up about theirs. And that's when trust is built.
That's true.
And you have my trust always until you break it. But the thing is, once you break it, it's over. Like, I'm not gonna try to repair anything because I don't have time to do that. I don't want to go through the pain of it. And for me, I have enough people. I don't need more people. So when I disqualify people, I do it very quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to tell you, I don't hate you. I don't have a problem with you. You just broke my trust. So we're now acquaintances, downgraded from friend to acquaintance. Right. So yeah, those are things. I don't know how we got here. I really don't know. What was your question?
I was thinking the same thing.
I was so sorry.
But no, but it's good though, because it sort of takes me to a different path in a way, which is do you think that you're living do you think you're living the manly life that you think you're living, or you're living the life that you sort of dream to have down the line? Okay.
No. You said something where it was like planning the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Where do I want to be in 5 years? I always think about who do I want to be in 5 years. Plus, right now in this state, I don't think about 5 years. Right now, I'm thinking about this phase. I'm categorizing my life in phases more than, because living in Dubai can do that, right? Everyone is business planning the whole time. Like, life is just like a business. 5 years, I'm going to do this and do that. Good.
Works for some people.
Do it once. Set it aside and live now. Because what I used to always do was I used to do all those like plans and journals and like 5-year plans and 3-year plans and 1-year plans. Awesome. But you don't always have to do this. Do it once, set it aside, live, and then come back to it and see, okay, am I actually advancing in those areas or not? Of course, there are a couple of points that I always take, right? My health, my fitness, my relationships, my friendships, my family, whatever. How I want them to be. But as you notice, I didn't talk about my success. Because my success is variable at the end of the day. It's not something that is going to be fixed. My relationships are more important to me than my success. And as a person who dropped everyone and left to build something, people would think it's the other way around. But my success, I'm aiming for that, and I'm aiming for freedom because I want to be with the people that I love. For me, it's all, I'm a successful person if I can spend time with the person that I want to spend time with whenever I want. This is for me, my new definition of success. Before it was millions on the bank account, being known worldwide, famous, doing this, doing that, whatever. And now it's okay. No. My success is I want to go to Spain and I want to take you and you with me. Let's go have fun. We'll work, but let's go have fun. Let's enjoy community. Because loneliness is very good for materialistic success, but I'm not a person. I realize I'm not a person for materialistic success. Like I live off a suitcase, right? I downgraded my life or downsized my life to fit in one suitcase. And this is what I live on. And it's well. I don't need new clothes. I don't need this. I don't need a car. I don't need watches. I always thought I did because of the role models I wanted to have. Yeah. And I looked for father figures everywhere, and they were always talking about watches and cars and businesses. I love that, and we need that in the world. We really do. But I realized I'm more, let's have a family kind of guy. Let's have a family vibe. Let's have community and not worry about whether we're going to eat tomorrow or not. Because I don't, like, this is something I never want to worry about again. Whether we can eat till the end of the month. So.
Wow. So on the topic of starting a family and all this sort of stuff, and, you know, again, one thing that sort of struck me from our earlier part of our discussion, which was, you know, about your father. So right now in your life, is there somebody who you look up to as, okay, this is my father figure, or are you creating a new father figure? So are you sort of molding yourself to be that person for your future self and, inshallah, one day kids, family?
I did that instantly, actually, after he left, because I have a little brother
Okay.
He's 10 years younger than me. So I automatically took on a father role.
Mm.
And given that I didn't learn much from my father, awesome man, really cool dude. I learned from watching him more than what he actually taught me. He loved us, I know that, or he loves us. I think he still does. I don't know. We don't talk much, but there's love. There's this love between a father and son. I don't think this should vanish, but there is no intimate connection. There is no friendship, and this part is gone. So when I looked at my little brother and I realized, okay, he's 7, he loves dad a lot, and dad just left overnight. Like literally one day he called me, he was like, I'm leaving. Like, where are you going? Like, back to sea. You can't say anything. It's like, how long? He's like, I don't know. Fine. Have fun, right? So I looked at my little brother. He was in pain. He was in shock. He started hating mom a lot because in his opinion, she's the reason dad left. Kids always need something to blame and they blame themselves. So he fell into that. So I immediately took over the father role and I started creating the kind of father that I wanted to have. So I stopped, because up until that point, I was always looking for role models or like father figures in my life. And I still catch myself sometimes, just, I need someone, someone to come and tell me how to, like before I had my girlfriend, how to talk to girls. No one taught me that. How to shave your beard. No one taught me that. My father and I never spent a day together, ever in my life. Like if I think about it, just him and I doing something that a father and son does, I don't know what they do. So I started thinking, okay, what were the things that were missing? Started trying to implement them with my little brother, teaching him stuff, doing this, doing that. And this is what made me realize, like, for me, the thing I aspire to become is a father, much more than anything else. I want to be a father. I want to take care of my kids. I want to be there for my kids. I want to watch them grow up, because this is also a struggle of men. So many men miss out on so many important moments of their kids' lives because they're so preoccupied with making sure that there's bread on the table, right? And I get that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It's a choice at the end of the day. Everything is a choice, right? In my world, everything you do is a choice. You either choose to say, I'm going to work over hours, I'm going to take that meeting at night, or I'm going to postpone that meeting to make it during a day so that I can spend time with my kids. It's a choice. And it's priorities. Yes, of course, the priority is to make sure the family is safe and secure. This is what we learned. This is also the role of the man. But not at the cost of the family, in my opinion. Because for me, taking this late meeting, well, for example, it's my son's birthday or it's my son's whatever day, right? It can be a normal Wednesday. I'd rather spend time with the person I love than take a late meeting. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm preoccupied. Can we do the meeting tomorrow morning? If not, we'll find a schedule. Why do we prioritize work meetings over friendships, families? Why? Like this is a question that the last couple of days I actually listened to a couple of podcast episodes, and funny enough, it came up in 2. That we tend to say it's a work meeting. I cannot say no. Like, yeah, Thursday, 8 p.m. I know Thursday, 8 p.m. I'm meeting a friend of mine. We're going out for dinner. I will postpone that friend because a friend will understand and take that meeting. Most people will. We take the friendship for granted. And I'm now learning to say, no, I'm not going to take it. I'm sorry, I have something else. Because if I had another work meeting, I wouldn't take it. So what's more important? The work meeting or connection? Because loneliness comes from when you don't prioritize connections anymore. And it is at the end of the day a priority. It's a choice. I'm choosing to be lonely because I need to know where I'm going, what I'm doing, right? Like this is something that I'm figuring out as I go. But the goal for me is to be in community. And I'm a person who tells all of their friends, I love you on every call. Every time I talk to them, I love you. I want to make sure that they know, because you never know when the last time will be when you talk to. This meme where you're like, the last time you played football in the street. you never knew it's the last time. Everyone just shifted. So now every time I have an interaction with a person, especially after the suicide and losing people along the way, I realize nothing is taken, like nothing is given. So every interaction, even if it's a phone call, I want to make sure that you know that I love you and that I'm here for you, and that if you need something, please come up to me. I mean, it also opened new dimensions of friendship for me. Because when you allow someone to know that you love them, and you don't, and Simon Sinek says that very often, not like love or love you.
Yeah.
It's like, I love you. Very difficult for men to say between each other. Very difficult, especially in our society, in the Middle East. Even though we're a society that greets each other, بوسة يمين بوسة يسار كذا. But we don't, for example, I'm not a person who gives kisses. I love hugging a person. I love really like making that person feel like we're close right now. Even if I don't know that person. To get to know them, I want to hug them. I want them to feel what I'll feel. And if the hug is weird, this is like, there's a barrier here.
Yeah.
And men, when I hug men, it's always like,
نعم بتجرب يلا ونجرب
and I go in, with both arms. I like to hug tightly. I couldn't hug you because the camera was, I was very pissed. Plus you're too tall. I don't
I'm too tall, I'm sorry.
So yeah, this is in my opinion, it's very important with friendships. Being able to say that I love you and showing people that you actually care.
Wow. So Joe, the way we end every episode, whilst I do want to continue this conversation, but I think it's time for part 2. So the way we end every episode is, actually, you saw me looking at this notebook before, but basically what I want from you is to write down a quote that helped you probably in your darkest times, hardest times, something that's going to help somebody else who's struggling, maybe someone who doesn't speak, who's bottling something up, something to make them find themselves if you want. So I'll leave it to you.
Does it have to be a quote?
It can be anything. So
okay.
I mean, it can be a quote, or it can be something that you live by, an idea, anything you want it to be.
Okay, cool. Does it happen on air?
It can happen on air, yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
If
we need to end the episode, let's end the episode and then I write it. Is that okay? Or do I write it?
لا, write it أحسن, I think.
طيب حاضر خلاص. Okay.
خي كون رجال.
يلا. Damn, I have writer's block. I mean, I have it tattooed on me, so
oh yeah,
I have
okay.
to write it. I wrote my name.
You wrote your name? Shout out to all the guests who didn't write their names. But no, that's something. Joe, honestly, it was a pleasure having you on board. Thank you for being on the podcast and obviously sharing your story. I know it might not have been very easy to talk about a lot of things, but clearly you're somebody who's quite self-aware and somebody who's come to terms and overcame, if you want, a lot of things that you've went through in your life. So thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you. And let's do part 2.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.